9th, 2021 meeting of the Camden County Board of Education. Ask each member if there is any consideration of open session agenda changes.
Yes, sir. I would request that you remove action items A and B.
Anyone else for open session agenda changes?
I'm sorry, do you mean public comment? Like, I don't understand. This is my first meeting. So am I allowed to come up and speak now?
Yeah, what,
Okay, I wasn't sure that because we just did the agenda. I was not sure. That's why I'm asking. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that.
is there a motion to accept the September 9th, 2021 meeting agenda as amended?
Ready.
Motion by Ms. Eilert to accept the September 9th, 2021 Camden County Board of Education meeting agenda as amended. Seconded by Mr. Purcell. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'd like to ask everyone to take a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Public comment. Citizens who signed up to address the board will be called upon in sign-up order. Each individual speaker will be allowed 3 minutes for remarks. Issues or concerns involving personal complaints affiliated or related to identifiable school personnel or student matters are not appropriate for this public forum. After 30 minutes of public hearing, any speakers remaining will be recognized at the end of the agenda. Whitney Lawson.
Yes, sir. Now, I need you to specify what you said about the schools, that you will not be talking about the school stuff. Is that what you said?
As long as you're not identifying a specific student or a specific teacher.
No, sir.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's my son, but I'm not going to go by his name.
If your
Okay.
son is fine.
Perfect. Okay. So good evening. I am here today because of the special meeting that you guys placed with the mask mandates that you guys placed on the 2nd of September. We were not aware of it until the afternoon of the 3rd. So we had to have our ducks in a row by the 7th, which was Tuesday. Okay. In your paperwork that you guys sent, your mitigation, or in what you sent, this is what was sent to us. So it's a bulletin saying, hey, you owe us $25. And then it's saying, hey, mask mandate. Then it's saying 2 more bullets. So a lot of us parents, it's in with other paperwork. We're not looking at it. I saw the principal's YouTube pop up on Monday. He said, we are in mask mandate. It is mandatory to wear masks. Okay. So I then contacted Miss Kelly Scott, who is my next chain of command because I have a problem with the mask. My son, this is the email, cannot physically wear a mask. He has allergies. He takes medicine every day. In your mitigation report, where it says masking, it doesn't say anything about if you are medically or physically cannot wear a mask, you can be excused. I have asked my principal. I have asked Kelly Scott. I have asked Miss Lane. I have also talked to Miss Anita. They've all told me their hands are tied, that I have to talk to you guys because anybody that has a physical or a disability cannot wear a mask. It is right here in your CDC NC toolkit that everybody is going by. This part is not anywhere in your paperwork at all that says if you cannot wear a mask physically or because of a medical situation, you don't have to wear one. It also made me believe, reading this paperwork, it says that when the children are 3 feet or more, they can take the mask off. Well, it also says in your paperwork that is a requirement for the desks to be 3 foot apart. My son has made me aware that he was wearing the mask that he wasn't supposed to be wearing per this note that he had in his pocket that says, I do not wear a mask, call my mom. A teacher then that I have no idea who she was because she has a black mask on her face. I cannot see her face. I don't know who she was. I had to hand my son to her. She took the note from my son, walked him to his classroom, did not tell any of his teachers about said note. My son went through the whole day with this mask on his face. Okay, I can't breathe through this mask because I have asthma. I'm not supposed to wear it. I have a letter from his doctor stating why he doesn't have what medicine he takes, because the doctors are not giving mask notes out. I have tried to get a mask note 2 times in 3 months from Dr. Robinson, and they are telling us they are not giving mask notes to any child. So, with that being said, I need to know how we are going to go about the children that have medical and physical limitations to not wear these masks. Whose hands need to be untied to figure this out? Because every person I talked to told me their hands are tied. I have to come and speak to you. I'm also being informed that my son is having lunch in his classroom. It says right here that he is required to have lunch in his cafeteria. So that is another thing that you guys are not following in the guidelines. We cannot pick and choose which guidelines we choose that we want to follow by the CDC per in your NC school handbook. If we're going to pick one, we have to pick all. These students are outside in masks. I have picked my son up 2 days now. Almost every single faculty member does not have a mask. I have pictures to prove it. Almost every single one of these children have masks on outside. I understand we want to keep the children in school. I want to keep them in school also. But at the same time, we can't sit here and have children that have medical reasons they can't wear a mask being forced to wear a mask. Kids that have physically cannot wear one are being forced also because your piece of paper doesn't give them claws to get out. So it's all in your handbook. It's in every single one of these that you guys tell us that we need to look through, and we're looking through it. And y'all are picking and choosing what you want to put in your mitigation reports, because I have it here in front of me also. Thank you guys for taking the time to listen to me. I really have a bad taste in my mouth from Tuesday from seeing my son wear this mask all day. And Miss Lane told me that she can't believe that they didn't have mask breaks. I asked my son, when did you take that mask off, baby? He said at lunch and at snack. That's it, mama. I said, baby, you need to pull that mask down so you can breathe. I did. My teacher told me to pull it above my nose. A boy that's not supposed to wear this mask. I had to send him to school today. And a mask that I had to, a mask that I had to not want to put him in. The thinnest mask I could find. So my boy wouldn't miss another day of school. Because nobody can tell me that he can't wear it, because I have documentation from doctors telling me that he can't wear it. He's not supposed to wear it because he does take allergy medicine. That he does take a medicine daily. Thank you guys for your time this evening.
I'd like to ask Ms. Libby Coker, our senior student board member, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So this evening, we would like to recognize Amber Davis as the Camden County Schools Principal of the Year for the 2021-22 school year. Ms. Davis is a graduate of Camden County High School, and she began her teaching career at Camden County High School, where she now serves as principal. Ms. Davis has been recognized as the Camden County Schools District Teacher of the Year, and this is her second time being recognized as a Camden County Principal of the Year. Her most notable achievement has been simultaneously serving as the principal of both Camden Early College High School and Camden County High School from 2018 to 2020. She has successfully led 2 faculties with 2 different educational programs, and one of her teachers said she totally rocked it. Ms. Davis's leadership style is to lead by doing. She does not ask anything of others that she is not willing to do herself. She is a thoughtful school administrator who puts her students and staff first and foremost in her life. She believes in earning respect by giving respect, and her competence and grace comes from an impressive work ethic. These are some of the things that her staff has said about her. Are you ready for this? Ms. Davis is acutely aware of the needs of her students and staff and meets those needs in a manner that shows the level of deep care she has for her school. She actively seeks opportunities that lead to school improvement. Ms. Davis is an amazing leader. She is very caring and understanding. She still remembers what it is like to be a teacher in the classroom. She takes the time to send personal handwritten messages that mean so much. The best thing about her is that she has common sense. So join me in congratulating Ms. Amber Davis. So tonight, Ms. Davis, we'd like to present you with a certificate of award and acknowledgement of Amber Davis, and you'll be awarded an iPad for her selection as Camden County Schools Principal of the Year, and also a plaque from the Camden County Schools 2021-22 Principal of the Year, Ms. Amber Davis.
So much. Thank
You're
you.
so welcome.
I appreciate it.
Ms. Lane would like pictures.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you like to sing?
Oh,
I know you do.
I-
You don't have to get that.
Thank you guys very much. I really appreciate it. It's a tough time to do what any of us do, but there's nowhere I'd rather do it. And, we've all seen some tough times and some tough things, but also in the midst of all this, I've also seen some of the best come out of people, whether it be my teachers, whether it be parents, or whether it be students. So in the midst of all this, I think we all have to sometimes dig deep and remember why we do what we do and how blessed we are to work in such a wonderful place. So thank you again for the recognition. I really appreciate it.
Open session to appear.
No one has requested.
All right. Consent agenda. Motion by Ms. Eilick to accept the consent agenda,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Purcell. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Information updates, PTO and club audits, Ms. Sally Norfleet.
It was that time of year again that I audit the books of all the clubs at the different schools. This year, of course, they weren't able to do a lot because they weren't in school half the time, but they were all in really good shape. I've had a few reach out and have some questions and want me to kind of go over some things because they're new this year. CIS, I think, had 3 different changes through the year. They had one and then she left. So it just kind of kept rolling. But everything looked really good. So I gave them all a clean audit. So did y'all have any questions with the papers that you got? Okay. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Superintendent Farrell for a COVID update.
In an effort to keep you updated about how things are going with the new COVID mitigation plan, since the changes were implemented following our last board meeting on September 2nd, I want to share some data with you as well as some information about implementation of the plan. One data point is parent contacts with central office. At least one of you had asked what kind of reactions we were getting from parents about the plan. We've had 6 calls. 3 of them were mask concerns. One was an antibody testing concern. One was a remote instruction concern, and one was a communication concern. There's also one additional parent who reached out today that I'm scheduled to speak with tomorrow, who said that she has a list of concerns. And so I'm not sure which category that fits under just yet, but that would make a total of 7 parent calls to the central office this week in reference to the COVID mitigation plan. Another data point in reference to substitute teacher coverage that one of you requested, our fill rate has been hovering in the mid 80% range this week. That is an improvement over what I shared with you all last week. As of 4 p.m. this afternoon, the fill rate for tomorrow was at 33%. Some of our substitutes did commit to returning now that we have this hybrid mask decision in place, but so far none of them have picked up any of the jobs. In reference to positive cases and quarantines, I want to be clear that we are not yet seeing the impact of the new masking hybrid plan. The information I am about to share with you is still the result of the time prior to the current mandate. Our nurses believe it will be 2 to 3 weeks before we start to see the impact of the current masking mandate. Looking at new positive cases for this week for staff, Grandy Primary School had 2, Camden Intermediate School had 1, and Camden Middle School had 1. All other schools and the central office had 0 new positive cases this week for staff. Looking at new quarantines this week, Grandy Primary had 5, Camden Intermediate had 2, Camden Middle had 1, Camden County High School had 1, Camden Early College had 0, and central office had 1 for a total of 10 staff quarantines or new staff quarantines this week. Looking at new positive cases this week for students, Grandy Primary School had 9, Camden Intermediate had 13, Camden Middle School had 4, Camden County High School had 9, and Camden Early College High School had 3 for a total of 38 new COVID positive cases this week. Looking at new quarantines for the week, Grandy Primary had 48, Camden Intermediate had 41, Camden Middle had 40, Camden County High School had 30, and Camden Early College had 7 for a total of 166 new quarantines this week. In reference to the COVID mitigation plan implementation, I met with our nurses today with Ms. Lane and to go through some of this. There is some confusion on the part of parents, nurses, and other staff with the antibody positive tests as a means of reducing quarantine requirements, and also with the 5-day, 7-day negative COVID test. Where the antibody test or antibody positive results are concerned, there's some controversy. A number of physicians are not acknowledging the validity of such a test result for quarantining purposes. There's also some confusion about the timeline of the positive test result. It must be prior to exposure, but no more than 3 months prior. And some parents have taken their students to get a test when the exposure happens, and the student and then the student is quarantined, and so that's when they're taking them to get the antibody test in an effort to get their student back in school sooner. Additionally, some physicians are asking that we not encourage parents to seek an antibody test because they do not have the capacity to handle that, along with all the other COVID-related issues with which they are dealing. Where a negative COVID test is concerned, many physicians have decided not to test asymptomatic individuals. Nurses are also concerned that home COVID tests are now being discussed by some parents as a means of reducing quarantine, and the nurses feel that these are unreliable because there's no way for them to actually know who was tested. As a result, we are recommending to you that these 2 options be removed from the COVID mitigation plan. There is some confusion also on the part of some parents, nurses, and other staff on the 3 feet versus 6 feet of social distancing. Our local health department and the toolkit in some places still use 6 feet as the determining factor for an exposure if one or both students are unmasked. Therefore, we can keep the 3 feet that we currently have in the mitigation plan, and we do think that that will reduce some of the quarantines, but we do not think it will eliminate them entirely. The only way to reduce the number of exposures is by all students and staff consistently and correctly wearing a mask while indoors. We are not recommending a change to our plan at this time, but we wanted you to be aware of this. And I will take any questions that I can answer. We have one school nurse here tonight who's willing to answer any questions that she can. And of course, and that's Laura Berry. And Of course, Ina Lane is here as well, who's been dealing with a lot of this, and Yolanda Anderson's been dealing with a lot of the staff quarantines and positive cases.
Any questions? Comments?
I would like to ask, what is it like in the schools right now?
Right, for me,
As a nurse?
it's been really difficult in the last 2 weeks, especially the last week, I believe. It's been just barely staying above water. When you come into your office and you've got kids steadily rolling in with illnesses that, pre-COVID may have been allergies, and may have been sinus, may have been a headache. And then you have parents on one end that are very frustrated because they don't feel their children need to be quarantined, and I understand that. And then we have other parents on the opposite end who are very concerned about the safety of their children. And I don't have the capacity to test those children. And normally what I would have said is, okay, you just have a headache, there's no fever, you'll be fine. Well, this has happened so many times. I've had children test positive with just a runny nose or a headache. And then I've had children on the other end of the gamut who've had body aches, fever, vomiting, diarrhea, cough. My issue is that they have family members at home, and we have staff in the building who are also susceptible to these illnesses. The children don't seem to be getting too sick from these illnesses, but who are they carrying it home to? But when you're having all of this, and you also have, on the other hand, your children who have asthma, who need their inhalers, your children with diabetes, who may need their insulin and their blood sugar checks and their carbohydrate counts for their lunch, and your children who are injured on the playground, and you come to work and you have 17 emails, 17 voice messages, and the phones are ringing off the hook. That to me is I can't complain as much as people on the front lines working in the hospitals and the ICUs and having their patients die. But I can tell you, in all of my years of school nursing, I have never had anything as difficult as I have in the last 2 weeks. And I would tell you that last year, we all had our struggles, teachers, staff, everyone, parents, children alike, no matter what your beliefs are on either side. But I can tell you that the last 2 weeks has been more difficult in all the years that I've ever had. And I think everybody feels that way. It's not just the nurses. I mean, everybody is struggling right now. So that's what I can tell you from my perspective. It's really hard to take care of the things that we normally take care of on a basis. We take care of our children. We want our children to be safe at school. We don't just want to be doing COVID all day long, but that's really what we're doing. Do you have any questions? I mean, I don't know of a better way to say it than what I just said.
Can I make add one thing, Laura? From my perspective, from visiting schools multiple times and talking with principals, meeting and talking with nurses, talking with Miss Lane, talking with a few parents, the really challenging thing about this is there are people who believe that every person should be in a mask no matter what. There are people who believe that masks do not help. And everywhere in between, whether it's related to a medical condition, as we heard from Ms. Lawson tonight, and and then other reasons. There are people who believe that, we should be requiring, it's gone so far as people saying that we should be requiring vaccines and so forth. The issue for us is this: who's right? I can't answer that question. I've not been able to answer that question because here's what I know. Every person with whom I've spoken, they believe they are right. They believe that what they believe about masks is right. They believe that what they believe about social distancing is right. They believe that whatever about this whole pandemic, that what they believe is right. But then the next person comes along and they believe the exact opposite of what that person believes. Who's right? And so that's what the real struggle is for, I think, all school people right now. And it is tougher this year in these last 2 weeks that we've been in school than it was last year. And I'm not sure what that's about. Maybe it's the increase in cases because the Delta variant is more, is more contagious, or whatever the case may be. But I think that one of the things that we talked about today when I met with the nurses is usually I can bring a group of pretty smart people around the table and we can figure some things out. I can bring a group of pretty smart people around the table. We can't figure this out because again, who's right? And I don't know. I really don't. I mean, I really truly don't have an opinion about it, but that's the struggle that we're all having right now.
And the bottom line is the
Safety of our students and staff, regardless of our beliefs. And I think we have a really great administration, teachers, staff, support staff. And I feel like as a whole, we're doing the best that we can. And I would tell anybody who's watching or listening to please bear with us. We are doing the best that we can.
We appreciate it.
Thank you for what you do. And I know it's not a lot, because I talked to their too, I love America.
Thank you.
Mr. Lazar back there somewhere? There he is. Principals. I'm just gonna pick on him or Ms. Davis today. In your schools, how many classes do you have individual in your campus that cannot maintain 3 feet of distance in the classroom?
So we're about 50-50 right now. Our classroom, about 50% of our classes, we can get the 3 feet, and about 50% we can't. Due to class size, furniture, whatever it is, there's some reason why we can't.
Right.
I think that's a little bit deceiving because we got a lot of kids out right now, so we're spread out a little bit more. I think when we get everybody back, we might see a little shift in that. But we're blessed with some pretty good sized classrooms, the physical footprints at CMS. So we're spreading them out as far as we can. But right now today, when I walk around, it's about 50-50, 50% each way within a couple percentage points.
I would say probably about 2/3. My older grades, 5th and 6th, it's harder to spread out because the class size is bigger, the students are bigger, and the rooms are tinier. Whereas on one grade level, 4th grade more so can spread out, and we don't have that class size limit like they do at the younger grades.
I have a chart that I can send. I mean, we do have a few more than I thought we would. With that, again, I do think that's a little skewed right now because of quarantine numbers. So, they are going by that. Nobody down my English social studies hall can do it. Some of them in my math can. So we probably, I may say like maybe 25%, but I'm bad with math, so don't quote me on that. But not much. A lot of mine are trying really hard to take them outside and to do some things like that to get them. But we do have a large amount of our kids who are, I will say, all 4 classes, they are in masks all day. So, that's what I said last time. I just know that's going to be reality here because classroom size combined with class size at the high school level is just playing against us with how we have it set up. And it's a numbers thing. And plus the bodies are bigger here with them. So it's hard to get them 3 feet apart here.
And right now we just have a few modulars that we have to adjust some furniture, but we should be all right once we do that. The regular classrooms in the building are good, but we have some modulars that we got to make some adjustments.
Ms. Stevens,
She's out tonight.
I don't think she's got any room.
yeah, I was just saying,
Yeah,
I'd be
trailers.
shocked if she had any, but
Maybe, I think my daughter said 1 class, maybe, but not usually, not if everybody's there.
so GPS is, as we figured, was going to be the easiest to separate and keep
out of mask as much as we could.
She was bringing up the point about the outside. How do we plan on implementing that with the other classes, the other schools? The kids having outside breaks and so on and so forth from the masks. Because she said that she is trying to have the students go outside for classes. What about the other schools? What about their outside breaks? Or cafeteria, PE, anything like that? Because like I said, my son has told me he has not gone to the cafeteria 2 days this week. So he's staying in the classroom all day.
That would be a question for principals to ask,
Answer if you can.
as far as what you're doing to, if anything, to provide any outside time.
As far as classroom instruction, or, I mean, we're doing recess, we do.
No, I'm just speaking in general, like mask breaks. Because if the kids are wearing masks in the schools, in the classrooms, you are supposed to have mask breaks.
They're taking.
Okay, but I'm just saying it's not documented anywhere. So I'm just asking, are we gonna make that a documentation across the board for all the classrooms saying, hey, you've had your mask on for an hour, time to pop it off for 15 minutes or however long? I'm not sure how that goes. But there should be mask breaks, correct? They were beforehand.
So
What I think I heard you say, Mr. Lazar, is in most of your classrooms, you can have your desk far enough apart that when students are seated at their desk, they can take their masks off.
Yes, we do have some items that we thought the tables were a little bit bigger, but they're not. We're making those adjustments, and we provided some desks with the class, the number of classes we had to add, we have provided some additional desks, and we'll fix that problem. But they are allowed to take masks down when they're walking around the hall. For instance, in the hallway, they take them down. The teachers want to take them down.
And do all of your classes have recess? Okay. Are masks required during recess or off?
As long as they're playing and they're 3 feet apart, it's no problem at all. If they're just sitting on the bench together, then it's different. Because it's still less than 3 feet apart.
Are you talking about outside? If they're sitting on the bench next to each other, they're still wearing masks?
To each other talking, then they do have masks on. But if they're throwing a football, kicking a soccer ball, and they're far apart, no. In PE, when they do their warm-ups and they're on their paw prints, the masks are down. When they're running, or they're close proximity, they do have them on depending on what the activity is. They're really trying to do the 3 feet. But it's very hard when you have PE, you have 55-year-olds to control every single one when they sit next to each other or standing next to each
So it sounds like we're in a work in progress on our mitigation plan for more review and understanding.
I mean, I guess we've implemented it, 4 days now? We're definitely working through some pieces of it. I think the most difficult part of it so far has been what we're doing with quarantining and exposure, considering an exposure to determine whether or not there's an exposure and quarantine required.
Ms. Berry, have you had any in your school? You've got, I think you said 40 right now that are quarantined this week. Have you had any who did not have to quarantine because of the mask this week?
Yes, and specifically today and yesterday, because it's you have to go around and you have to look at the seating charts and you have to actually measure, and then it's according to, and what it specifically says is if those both students were consistently and appropriately masked, then they do not have to quarantine. If the child, for lack of a better statement, wears the mask on their head all day, or they're just not masked, or they're not wearing it up and the teacher has to tell them that all day. Even if the other child is wearing the mask, then unfortunately both children, if that child was to have COVID, they both would have to stay home. If they were consistently masked, and that doesn't mean they can't take a mask break. It just means if they're within 6 feet of each other for 15 minutes or greater, and they didn't wear their mask consistently, then yes, that child's going to have to quarantine because that is considered an exposure still.
Right.
And obviously, we're not going to be able to get 6 feet apart in our schools. And according to the health department, which I spoke to my contact there yesterday just to confirm this, we do want to avoid the amount of kids having to quarantine. And that's the way we can do that. So you have 2 kids sitting desk to desk, 3 feet apart, both consistently wearing their mask, then know that one does not have to go home. And today and yesterday, I had several cases that they did not have to go home because of that.
And I'm trying to get down there because we knew it was going to take, given that you have to go back, 48 hours from the start of symptoms, we were still going to be dealing with some of last week coming over into this week. I'm just trying to, are we making the headway we had hoped for? Right, but
We're
it sounds like
seeing-
we're starting to get some of that now, given what you said yesterday and today.
Just, there were
some,
several that I did not have to send home. And I'm hoping that they don't, develop symptoms because we're going by those guidelines. We really are. And I've tried really hard to stick it. It's not a perfect process. But what we're seeing this week, as far as those increased positives, were triples from last week.
And I'm not going to use that for me on the nurse that came in tonight, so.
I'm happy to answer whatever I can.
Just, I know we were discussing this earlier. It was just to see if we're starting to see some progress on the quarantine side of it.
I believe so.
As well.
Give me a week or two and I can tell you.
Yeah, and we knew it was going to, when you trace back that far, there's going to be some trickle down coming for another week or two, but it's small way. Didn't we already have Mr. Lady was going to be looking into some wording changes on some of the other issues already about, we don't normally respond directly to public comment, but some of the issues you have raised tonight, ma'am, in closed session, we have already talked to the attorney about trying to get those items done. So it's not on deaf ears. We understand what you're saying, and a couple of those issues were specifically addressed tonight that, hey, we don't have this in there. We need to, and it's not that we just said we don't care. We have to word it correctly based on state policy versus board policy. So we've already actually discussed some of those items tonight with the attorney to get back to us. So we are the nurses. Thank y'all. I mean, everybody from the parents down to all the staff this is nothing about this is perfect. But I think everybody's really, really trying to do the best for the kids that we can right now.
Any other questions for Dr. Farrell from his COVID update? Seeing none, I'll give the student board members the opportunity to give their updates.
So for Brandy Primary, their theme this year is game management. Many of the teachers' floors and classrooms are decorated with game themes like fun games and sports. The PTO also decorated the hallways. Teachers and students are excited to be back in school and are working hard on communication procedures. Third graders took the bog reading test this week. Fall picture day is next week. Also, the PTO is planning movie night on October 1st at the community park at CIS. At CIS, their theme is Toy Story. They had their first PTO meeting today, and they'll be having their first family event on October 1st. It's an outdoor family movie night. They'll be hosting this event with Brandy Primary School, and their fun run is scheduled in November. For CMS, College and Career Lab is ready, and students are able to explore different careers hands-on. The FFA held their first chapter meeting on Monday, September 9th. And sports kick off next week. And the construction started in the cover freeway starting this week.
So for student early college, on August 21st, CEC had several students participate with the junior ROTC in presenting the colors at the Panthers football game in Charlotte. On August 20th and September 3rd, freshmen and sophomores toured the COA campuses in Elizabeth City and Currituck during seminar. On August 27th, Marcia Mary, the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council Coordinator, was a guest speaker during seminar. She talked to the freshmen and sophomores about team work. On September 3rd, she talked to the juniors and seniors about a mentorship program. CDC students volunteered at the Albemarle Area Circuit Show on September 4th and 5th. Today, test results were released for the 2020-2021 school year, and Camden Early College's overall proficiency was 78.4% and 50.4% testing college and career learning. Everyone is so proud of the staff and students as this was a difficult year and everyone worked extremely hard. For Camden High School, the annual senior breakfast was held on Tuesday, September 7th, where seniors took a class picture all together in front of the school. The first National Honor Society meeting of the school year was held this morning, where students were presented with community service opportunities as well as leadership roles in the club. The first home football game of the season is tomorrow night, September 10th, versus Jones Senior High School, at which the varsity softball team will be presented with their state championship rings during halftime. CHS and CEC Spirit Week and Homecoming are next week, September 13th through the 17th. And Bruin Success starts this Friday, in which students can leave school early at 1 o'clock, but students with a grade of a 69 or below are required to stay during Bruin Success to receive one-on-one assistance with teachers to improve grades and comprehension. Since school has started, a new attendance, hall pass, sign-out, and sign-in method has taken place. It allows students to use their phones to scan QR codes that are hung up on the wall. When the QR code is scanned, students are directed to a Google form that they fill out and submit that then enters them into a spreadsheet that teachers and administrators can access. This allows teachers to see the exact time students left or signed in.
Thank you for those updates. North Carolina School Board Association nomination opportunities. Dr. Farrell, would you like-
So there are four decisions that you all will need to make tonight. One of those is whether or not you want to nominate someone for the Raleigh Dingman Award. The other decision that you would need to make tonight is if you would like to nominate someone for the School Board Member Leadership Award. And then with the 53rd Annual Conference coming up in November, there are voting delegates. You would need to choose voting delegates, and Camden qualifies for 3 voting delegates. So you'd need to decide who those 3 people are. And then there are vacancies on the North Carolina School Boards Association Board of Directors for Region 1. And if you would like to nominate someone for that, then we can do that.
Anybody have a nomination for a Raleigh Dingman Award? Yes.
I think we're good on that.
You think we're good on that one?
Yeah.
Nomination for School Board Member Leadership Award.
You already got that one too, Chris?
No.
I nominate Christian over.
That was very good. Very good. Mr. Heath has made a nomination for myself, Christian Overton, as School Board Member Leadership Award nominee, seconded by Ms. Adlet. Is that correct?
That's right.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Motion carries. Thank you for that nomination.
You're welcome.
School Board Association Annual Conference Delegate Selection. We have 3 slots. Any volunteers first? Who's going first?
Yeah, we do need to know
It's-
that.
As far as we know, as of yesterday, I received the email that they're still holding it in person in Greensboro.
I'm planning. Me too.
Planning.
Yeah, but I'm not volunteering.
But-
Not going.
Heath is not going. Undecided.
So by default.
So by default,
You need this?
we have Miss Islet, Mr. Purcell, and myself, and Dr. Banks is first alternate.
We'll get sick as soon as he says he's going, he's going to come in.
All right.
And then the vacancies.
Yes, vacancies for the North Carolina School Board Association Board of Directors.
I nominate Christian.
Does he want to do it again? I think he just got off.
We'll do it again, Christian?
Yeah, I guess so.
You do want to do it again?
Oh, well, I do.
There you go. Nominate you.
You nominate me? Second.
There you go.
Y'all quit on this stuff and nominate me. Ms. Islet has nominated Christian Overton for the Board of Directors vacancy. And Dr. Banks has seconded the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Again, thank y'all for your confidence in voting or nominating me for that position.
We included a copy of the agenda for the conference. So that people can decide if they want to go, can go, because we're gonna need to make hotel reservations and
Okay.
such.
Superintendent's recommendations for employment from closed session.
I recommend that you approve the personnel report as presented by Ms. Anderson in closed session.
Motion by Ms. Idlet to accept the superintendent's recommendation for employment as presented by Ms. Anderson in closed session. Seconded by Mr. Purcell. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Announcements. The Camden Heritage Festival will be held Saturday, October 9th at the Camden Community Park from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. North Carolina School Board Association Annual Conference will be held Thursday, November 11th through Saturday, November 13th. In your package is also the tentative agenda for the 3 days. And Miss Anita needs to know as soon as possible dates of attendance so she can secure our reservations with the association and hotel rooms. Does anybody else have any further announcements? Any other future agenda items?
Update on high school construction process.
Directly from Rick Ott. I can check on that for you.
Did the bids come back yet? For the
I don't
grading?
think it closed yet. I
Okay.
think it closes at the end of this week.
Okay.
For the,
17th.
is it next week?
No, I said the public opening set for the 17th.
I think that's right.
Oh, the bid opening
Yes.
is 17.
And that's for the site work.
Right.
Site development. I'll check with Mr. Ott though to find out.
Can we also see what the county manager has for the 3-cent tax increase that was imposed this year, what they're planning on doing with that money?
I'll ask that question.
Yeah, yeah, while the school doesn't exist for several years.
Did that one get picked up by Mike? Pay for the library.
Okay, I will follow up on those two items.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn made by Dr. Banks, seconded by Mr. Purcell. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We are adjourned. Thank you for coming.